So we talked transportation a little bit this evening with the Alderman. Let's talk about it with the Mayoral candidates. The region's network is a primary concern to commuters in the state, the county and Frederick. The Monocacy Boulevard US interchange, as we've mentioned, has been knocked out of the city's major transportation projects, but in a time when funding makes even the simple responsibilities of maintenance a struggle, how will you manage some of the network's coming priorities? Is there any absolute that has to be finished, maybe at the expense of something else? And if so, what falls by the wayside?
In transportation, with the fact that the 15 intersection has been approved, that's a major accomplishment. But we also have another part of that must be done in concurrence, and that's Monocacy Boulevard Phase 2. We've all seen what Phase 1 has done. It's done a great deal to move our traffic around the city, and it's not even completed yet. I've always said we need to go charge Costco more money, because when Phase 1 opened up, all I heard was I can get to Costco a lot faster than I've ever before. So that's a key, to make sure that that is done at the same time as concurrently with Route 15 intersection. That provides an easy flow. It also may provide some relief for the intersection on 26 and Monocacy Boulevard, because that's been a very key congested area. We need to continue to fight for our highway user revenue. We are behind about $6 million in highway user funds. We're not been able to catch up. We took some of the unallocated fund balance from this year's budget and put it into highway and our road repair improvements. We also need to continue to move forward as we have with pedestrian and bike transportation. Try to move some more of those cars off the roads and get some of our residents who have the ability to bike or walk to work, that ability to do it easier. This administration, we put in, I think it was $1.5 million to do the underpass for the multi-use path that will connect the east and west sides, a link that's been missing for a long time that will help in that pedestrian and bicycle transportation. We've been designated a bike-friendly community at bronze level, and we want to continue to move that forward.
Thank you. Ms. Dorothy.
These annexations are going to cost the city a lot of money in road improvements, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to do them. We have to complete the Monocacy Boulevard, Christopher's Crossing sections, because that completion of the ring road or circular road, whichever you want to call it, is critical to the transportation network. But let's also look at mass transit and how we're using it. Right now, we've taken away the express shuttles that took people out of downtown, put them in free satellite shuttles, free satellite parking lots outside of town and brought them in. I would restore that. I would push with the transit officials to bring back and add 991 buses for additional transportation, quote, down the road. And I would work for a true multimodal station in the downtown center to make sure that people have a way in and out, not just during the week.
Thank you. Ms. Young.
Improving our transportation infrastructure is one of the largest challenges we have. It is critically important not only for accessibility, but for economic development. If you can't get your employees and your customers to your place of work, you're probably not going to expand your business. The problem isn't really, or the challenge isn't identifying the priorities. That's been done. We have a group called FACT that looks at transportation priorities and develops a list. The challenge is the funding. We've talked about some of them tonight: public-private partnerships, innovative financing, but also working with all levels of government. That's why I have devoted so much time and energy building relationships at the local level, the state level, the regional level, and the national level, so that Frederick has a seat at the table when it comes to funding allocations.
Very good. Ms. McClellan.
It was mentioned that Christopher Crossing is an important part of that ring, and we talk about the annexations. The vast majority of Christopher's Crossing is either going to be designed, paid for, or funding paid for by those most of those annexations. There's only a smaller part of that area that's going to be paid for out of the city. So that will complete that complete ring, and it's a part of the public-private partnership.
Thank you very much. Our next question goes to Karen Young. One word: development. Or if if you prefer growth. The city is estimated to increase its population by a third in the next few decades. Is our present planning adequate enough to anticipate that surge? And how will the push for new growth by our county commissioners impact Frederick's plan to accommodate that influx? What will you do now to ensure that we're not swamped in the future?
Could you repeat the last part of the question about the county?
Absolutely. With the push for growth by our county commissioners and the new development that is planned, how will that impact Frederick's growth? How will Frederick plan to accommodate the influx in additional growth in the next couple of decades? And what can we plan for now to ensure that we're not swamped by that in the future?
Well, one of the things I've said throughout this campaign is one of the largest challenges we face is how and where we grow. Repeating the numbers you shared, we could grow to 90,000 people by 2030 if the forecast is correct. We need stronger planning about how to do that. I truly believe East Frederick Rising is a large solution to how and where we grow. But also, we need to improve our transportation infrastructure, concentrate on infill. But growth is a regional issue. Again, another reason I have been so involved in the Washington Council of Governments, because like water and air quality and economic development, transportation, growth is a regional issue. There are planning tools available to us. Best practices in urban design. We're about to utilize a grant for East Frederick Rising that we got through the Washington Council of Governments. Those tools are available for us, and we really need to start the planning now to ensure that we grow as a clean, green, accessible community where people who live here can work here and play here.
Thank you. Mr. McClellan.
We all know that growth can be the word that everybody wants to hear, but we also know that we need it. We need to be able to spread that cost out over a greater base. We need to be able to plan to have more businesses to come here so that you have the opportunity to work here where you live and not drive down the road. We do need to grow smartly. You need to concentrate on infill. This administration has worked hard on small area plans to find ways and new, unique ways to plan for our future and plan for our growth. Started with the Golden Mile. We're going to next concentrate on the East Frederick side. And we have couple other of the small area plans, growth plans to look at as well. So we need to do this in a right, balanced way. And I think this administration has done that.
Thank you very much. Ms. Doherty.
Obviously, growth is not new in Frederick or in the world. We know that the city has a comprehensive plan. Living with that comprehensive plan, updating that comprehensive plan is important, and following it. We want to talk about not following it. The Hargett Farm was not followed. We didn't have that in the comprehensive plan. We didn't have it in the budget, and poof, we have $18 million of debt and nothing to do with it. But the development that we're going to see in the city of Frederick is within our control. The style, whether it's neo-traditional, whether it's infill, whether it's all new land, whether we have adequate transportation networks. One of the things that we're not seeing, and we're starting to hear the conversation, is about what government services we're going to need to upgrade because of the new development. Police, public safety, those have to be our key focus points, and they haven't been in the last 4 years when these annexations have come in.
Michelle.
The growth that we're going to see is going to happen more in municipalities. This isn't just a Frederick phenomenon. This is throughout the world. Currently, 50% of the world's population is in cities. By 2050, it's anticipated 75% will be. Infrastructure is in place in municipalities, and governments can no longer afford to support the sprawl of years in the past. So what we need that I didn't mention earlier is more creativity and innovation about how we do that. We need to really think out of the box about planning our future communities.
Please completed in a timely fashion, and that's what I will do. One of the things that was taken out of the capital budget a few years ago was the police headquarters. We need to have a good conversation with the county government because they want that space back in the courthouse, and having a new police headquarters was something that we had a plan for when I left office. I think we can work on that again. It doesn't have to be a Taj Mahal, but it has to be adequate for our police department and adequate for the growing city that we have. Another capital project that was taken out, and I think is a good one to look at again, is the swimming pool that was supposed to be at Hill Street Skate Park. That was supposed to be a multi-purpose playground and park for neighborhoods. Now we're talking about a 148-acre monstrosity that we can't afford, and nobody's really partnering with us on it at the Hargett Farm. When you can't afford it, you have to pull back. Look at the city budget, folks. It's not in there because we can't afford to develop it. We have to do these smaller parks, these smaller development issues. Other capital projects that we have to work on is upgrading our sewer capacity. We are going to run into a problem, and trust me, we do not want to have that problem. I want to, we really don't. I'm glad you're all still awake back there in the corner. But the water and sewer infrastructure issues are so critical to our fiscal health. We had to go through a moratorium when I was in office before, and it was not a pleasant situation.
Mr. McClellan.
I agree. Water and sewer are one of our main concerns that we have to look at. We're addressing that on a daily basis. We're currently in conversations with the county, Lake Linganore Association, and the city to do the dredging that's necessary to keep Lake Linganore, which is about 6 million gallon a day water supply, free of silt, so that we have that supply of water for a long time. We're looking at different ways to move projects forward. While I may disagree with Jennifer, you want a pool at the skate park, but we're trying to put an aquatic center that would serve the needs of our citizens, and we are partnering with people, and that's just in the very beginning step process, and I think that's going to move forward to a positive fruition.
Ms. Young.
I agree with the sewer capacity. There are two other areas that I would like to add. One is technology. We are underutilizing technology. Technology could make us so much more efficient as a city and specifically as an organization. Something as simple as the way we accept payments. I know there are a number of areas we have some superb IT people, and we need again to use some innovative thinking about efficiency. Also, I would like to invest in greener plant and equipment. We have to stop talking about environmental sustainability and put a plan behind it and commit some resources to it.
Ms. Doherty.
Two programs that I have proposed, and they're on my website: Get Off the Grid, which is a transformation of the wastewater treatment plant from traditional energy sources to green energy sources. That can be our first project. We've waited a long time for it. The other is the Civilian Conservation Corps, taking advantage of local people who have degrees in forestry and like environmental science degrees, and put them in charge of restoring, maintaining, and preserving our watershed, our 7,000-acre watershed. Those are two infrastructure projects that we can get started on in the first year.
Very good. Our next question goes to Mr. McClellan. Economic development is central to the city's success. It's critical that we not only attract businesses to Frederick, but the right kind of sustainable business that matches jobs to the demographics of our population. What kind of businesses and industry makes up your vision of Frederick's economic future? More importantly, what steps will you take to help make that future vision a reality?
You're absolutely right. We need to be able to draw businesses here to our city that will help sustain our residents to live, work, and play here. We have been very much in the forefront of the biotech industry in this area with the Fort Detrick and all of their alphabet soup that they have on the fort. We've tried to find ways through our Economic Development Office and through the Fort Detrick Alliance to try to pull more of those biotech industries here to our city, as well as working with FITSE. The way we do that is to try to get government out of the way. We want to make sure that we have a great, attractive character of life, the ability to have a good workforce, educated workforce, good housing. And we need to make sure that our policies and procedures and rules and regulations and our permitting processes are clear, understandable, predictable for any business that wants to come here. We need to make sure that we don't get in the way of a business coming here. They want to be able to come here because we have all those things. We have Harry Go Stadium, we have the Weinberg Center, we have a great workforce, we have a great character of life, we have great places, things to do. We have a lot of places to eat in this town too. So our job is to make sure that we just help businesses come here by providing predictability to the process.
Thank you. Ms. Young.
There are a number of growth industries that I believe we could have more opportunity with in Frederick other than bioscience and biotechnology. Technology in general, cybersecurity, healthcare. We have an aging population and it's a high growth industry. Cybersecurity, but we need a plan for attracting those kinds of industries, and we need to work in partnership with the chamber, other business groups, and the education system. I had a conversation with Dr. Albin a couple of weeks ago to determine what kind of a role the city could play in educating our students and our workforce for future opportunity. But also, the mayor needs to be the chief champion of the city in recruiting business, attraction, and expansion.
Thank you very much. Ms. Doherty.
I believe in being a cheerleader for our city. I'm a business person here. I know that we have to retain the businesses that are here now, and we have to recruit other businesses. One of the things that I did when I was mayor, and we got a little mention earlier, was we recruited Wells Fargo to come here. We had MedImmune expand here. We had BP Solar expand here. We worked on those projects because we did have a plan in our Department of Economic Development that I created. The idea that we have to have better management in City Hall seems so obvious, and yet it seems like we're falling short on that. I have proposed a reduction in the business personal property tax and a phase out over 3 years, and that will cost the city about $1.3 million, and I think that's important. I think we have to put tax differential on the table because businesses are paying the same high rate that we residents are paying. This is a big issue. If we're going to compete for business, we have to get the level playing field.
Thank you very much. Mr. McClement.
I just want to reemphasize that we do have to be the cheerleaders. We have been the cheerleaders. Our Economic Development Office has been an outstanding component of the city. In fact, they work very well as we talk about working in partnership with the county's economic development. We're trying to bring people and businesses into our city as a team, and it's been very successful. We just need to be able to emphasize that on a daily basis.
Thank you very much. Our final question of the evening goes to Ms. Young. The issue of character and personality has been one of the defining issues of this campaign, whether it's cheerleader in chief, as we mentioned, a quiet, steady hand on the tiller, passionate advocacy, etc., etc. But while, yes, we have a system with a strong executive, you will be working with 5 personalities and leaders of the Board of Aldermen. Each one of you served as an elected leader with commensurate share of praise and criticism for your leadership styles. And while I understand there's some uncertainty as to who that board will be until November the 5th, what can we as the voters expect in general as your administration works with the Board of Aldermen over the next 4 years?
Thank you. Great question. And I believe I have a real advantage there. I've walked in the shoes of an alderman. I know what it's like to want better communication, better collaboration, better teamwork, more input at an earlier stage. That's been a learning experience, and my administration will be totally committed to a strong working partnership with the Board of Aldermen. You know, I've learned a couple of lessons over the last couple of years, and we're never too old to keep learning. One is that you must proactively reach out. You can't wait for people to come to you. Secondly, Communication, collaboration, and compromise are critical. It's not about winners and losers. It's about reaching out and finding more about what you have in common than what divides you. And that would be my approach to working with whoever is elected, to start early and often, to communicate and find out what's on the minds of the aldermen, and never let them be surprised by reading about what's happening in the city in the newspaper first. Sorry, Cliff.
Well, let's not get carried away. Ms. Doherty.
If they read it in the paper, that's probably a good thing. But here's the truth. I have a distinct advantage. I'm running as an unaffiliated. I have been at these candidate forums in the primary. I took copious notes. They all saw me sitting back in the corner. And I was able to discern who is ready for the job and have good conversations with every candidate for alderman. That has been a distinct advantage. No partisan divide. It's quite liberating, I must say. And the conversations that we have been cordial and substantive, and they have not had a darn thing to do with political parties, because in the end, we're all in it for Frederick. That's why I'm in it. That's why I keep trying, because I think Frederick is worth it. And I think that running as an unaffiliated is the best way to go, because we do not have any walls between us going in December.
Mr. McClellan.
I've been criticized, I guess, somewhat for my leadership style. My leadership style has been collaboration. It's not about what me as mayor wants, it's about what's good for this city. We have included the citizens in a lot of decisions that I think this has been the most transparent administration in a long, long time. That's my style, is to include everybody in. Problem is sometimes you don't get what you want, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I get what I want all the time either. That's not the way it's supposed to be. The bottom line is it's supposed to be what we do that is good for you, the citizens, and what you're asking for. Our budget process is probably the best example of that. We've included you, the citizens, in our budgetary priorities. I've included the aldermen in the budgetary priorities. It is the mayor's responsibility to present the budget, but we've always presented a budget of a team budget.
Ms. Young.
If you look at my votes over the past 4 years, I don't think you could make a case that I vote in a partisan manner. And part of that is because I'm an independent thinker. I vote on the issue, not is there a party position. And secondly, because there is nothing partisan about sewer, water, safety, land use. So I don't really see the partisan issue. In fact, the nonpartisan among us is making the partisan issue the topic of conversation again and again. So I don't see partisanship at the local level. It hasn't been in this administration.
Thank you very much. That ends our round of questions. Please give the candidates a round. We'll wrap up the evening with closing statements. We're doing so well on time. How about we take 2 minutes apiece? Everybody okay with that? And we're going to start in reverse order. We're starting with Ms. Young.
I am very proud and honored by the fact that in the last couple of days, I have been endorsed by a number of our state and federal leaders. I've been endorsed by the governor, the lieutenant governor, both senators, former delegates, Sue Heck, Congressman Delaney, and the Sierra Club. That's an impressive list. Their quotations are out in the lobby. I encourage you to pick them up. I can't read them now. I don't have enough time. But there are a couple of themes that they all brought out in terms of why they endorsed me. I work tirelessly. I work well with others at all levels of government. I have a good balance of private and public sector experience, a very strong record of community service, and I balance fiscal responsibility with important investments in the community and in our citizens. I have enjoyed working with this board of aldermen, and make no mistake, They are the thought leaders of this administration. The creativity, the stamina, the productivity has come from my fellow board members. And I would like to take that leadership, take that position on at a leadership level to make sure that Frederick is the best it can be, that we are a vibrant and growing city that represents the second largest city in Maryland and a regional leader. But to do that, we need visionary leadership, the ability to work at all levels of government, collaboration, and a relentless determination to bring best practices here to Frederick. And I will win this election with your support because I listen to you and I follow up on your needs and your requests. Thank you.
Mr. McClellan.
Again, wants to thank everybody for taking your time to come out. This simply shows just how much you care about our city and how much you care about the process, and I want you to know I appreciate that. As I noted in my opening remarks, we've been faced with some challenges that all came with some financial strings. We had a state unfunded mandate to the wastewater treatment plant of about $53.5 million. We had a blizzard that we are all very familiar with that was unexpected, and it cost the city about $750,000. We had a loss of tax revenue, which is probably our largest problem, of about 23%. We had the FAA delay a $13.5 million reimbursement for us in 2013. They're now going to reimburse us in many years out. So there's $13.5 million of unexpected loss of revenue. But with these challenges, this administration has been able to move forward in a thoughtful process, in a positive manner, and to continue to provide fundamental city services, and we have done that without raising your overall taxes. I implemented a zero-based budget program that makes us more accountable for your hard-earned tax dollars. We've opened up city government to more public comment and participation than any other administration before us. We have found creative ways to move projects forward, such as the swinging bridge and phase 2 of the Carroll Creek Linear Park. We've maintained, and in one case, slightly bettered our credit ratings, allowing us the opportunity to move critical projects forward in these tough economic times. All I ask of you is one more time, allow me to continue to prove to each and every one of you that the promise I made for sound city government was the promise that I kept, and that I will continue that commitment for the next 4 years. I ask for your vote on November 5th. And again, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Doherty.
Well, being mayor is about getting things done, and I got things done. I focused on public safety. I hired a very respected chief of police who served us for 10 years. We hired 14 additional police officers right after 2001, and we reduced crime by 25%. We created a Department of Economic Development focusing on the important issues in our city. We completed the only section of Carroll Creek that is completed, creating $100 million of investment, 1,000 new jobs, and $500,000 in annual property taxes. We adopted the Golden Mile Tax Credit District. We recruited new businesses like Aldi and Wells Fargo to the city of Frederick. We expanded MedImmune, as I told you before, and worked with tourism to expand their business. We made the first investment in FITCI, the business incubator. And because I focused on infrastructure projects, we do have a safe and adequate water supply. We expanded our road network by bringing East Street Extension up with the help of Delegate Galen Claggett. And we expanded our recreational facilities like the Tally Rec Center and Hill Street Skate Park. Now, it's coming down to you. It's time for you to take that leap of faith where all citizens have to make their choice and how they choose their candidate. Who will work tirelessly to improve public safety and add the 14 police officers that we need, and add the kiosk on Carroll Creek to improve public safety? Who will expand Department of Economic Development by hiring a life sciences or biotech professional to make us credible in the industry? And who will improve management at City Hall to make sure that we do not have mistakes like the $2.3 million mistake we suffered last month? Malcolm Gladwell has a new book out. It's called David and Goliath. Its central theme is simple. Desirable difficulties help people navigate challenges. If we take our experiences, we come out stronger. And while we may not always agree, I will always listen to you, and I will always tell you the truth. Because my mom told me from my earliest recollection, and on the day I was elected, be yourself. And I ask for your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our evening with the candidates. Thank you, candidates, for coming out. Thank you for coming out. And please don't forget